My sister-in-law demanded I host and pay for her BF's son's birthday at my wedding. I said no, disinvited them, and now she's blaming me for her breakup. My sister-in-law, 29 female, and I, 29 female, haven't had the best relationship, and it seemed to get even worse once my husband proposed to me. She's my husband's, 29 male, twin, and I guess she seems to think that he belongs to her or something. When my husband and I began dating 2 years ago, she seemed to hate me right from the beginning. She found every excuse to take a dig or jab at me, especially the fact that I still didn't have my driver's license at my age. When I was a kid, I got into a freak car accident that left one of my cousins paralyzed from the waist down, and since then, I am too terrified to get behind the wheel. Sure, riding shotgun or in the back seat is fine, but I practically break into hives whenever I get into the driver's side, and when she found out about my allergies to Swiss cheese, she really had a field day teasing me over it. She then claims I'm being dramatic and making it up, slipping me some Swiss cheese into my sandwich, and actually gets a shock when I have trouble breathing and break out into hives. My husband didn't speak to her for months over that, and during that time she tried to play nice with me to get back on his good side. Her boyfriend, however, is pretty cool and is always nice to me. He has the most adorable son, and I sadly feel sorry for them both because he deserves a better person for a girlfriend, and his son deserves a better future stepmother. He's way too nice of a person to be with someone as vicious as she is, but he is no doormat, and he does pretty well with putting her in her place. I could tell he was starting to reach his end with her just from the way she causes issues and then tries to play the victim. Like the Swiss cheese incident was something that made him so mad he almost broke up with her. All the time, my car wouldn't start at work and I needed someone to come get me. She said that she would be there in 15 minutes, but left me waiting out in the freezing cold for over 2 hours until she arrived, just as smug as could be. Then, she didn't understand when my husband or her boyfriend wouldn't speak to her the next day. I was excited for our wedding because we are currently staying at his parents' house until we move into our new home on the day after our wedding. That would mean that I wouldn't have to see my sister-in-law so much, and maybe it'll help keep the conflict down. For some reason, my sister-in-law has been trying to find ways to ruin my engagement, as far as me being happy. She even had the nerve to be upset that she wasn't going to be my maid of honor and said that I always had it out for her. I can tell her parents are also exhausted with the whole situation, and they have given up on trying to talk some sense into her. I decided to just start avoiding her but wasn't able to the night of the rehearsal, which was the night before my wedding. After she did her rehearsal with the rest of the bridesmaids, she asks me to speak with her privately and leads me out to the venue parking lot. She then demands, not asks me, but demands me to allow her boyfriend's son to not only celebrate his 10th birthday tomorrow at the wedding, but for me to cover all costs for said birthday. I asked her was she insane, and she looked dumbfounded, not even understanding what the problem is. I told her that as much as I care about her boyfriend's son, it is very inappropriate to rearrange the entire day that had been planned out for a year to accommodate his birthday when it wasn't even his birthday the next day. Yes, that's right. His birthday was the following Monday, not the day of the wedding, which was on a Saturday. She says that it's normal for kids to celebrate their birthdays on a weekend, and I told her they should be able to celebrate it on a weekend, it just wouldn't be at my wedding. She suddenly blows up at me and starts calling me a female dog and how her brother deserves someone who is so much better than I am. She berates me for a couple of minutes until I become so upset. I just told her that she, the boyfriend and son, just shouldn't come to my wedding before I ran off in tears. Now I realize I was wrong to disinvite her boyfriend and his son because I really do like them, and they didn't even do anything wrong in this situation. But it's the night before my wedding, my hormones are already running all high, and she's verbally attacking me because I won't change my wedding plans. I tell my husband about what his sister tried to force me to do, and he was upset. He had words with her too. Even their parents were fine with her not coming to the wedding and said that if she can't treat me like family, then she doesn't need to be at a family event. The next day, my wedding was perfect, and I still get emotional thinking about how special that day had been for us. There was absolutely no drama since my sister-in-law wasn't there, and everyone enjoyed it. At the wedding reception, I'm enjoying my meal when suddenly his sister-in-law is calling my phone. I step outside to answer the call, hoping she's calling to apologize, when she suddenly screams at me saying that her boyfriend wants to leave her, and it's all my fault. I asked her what is she talking about, and she says that her boyfriend got mad at her for being disinvited to the wedding. She said that he doesn't blame me because my sister-in-law probably forced my hand with her wild antics, and that the fact he has to pay for something my sister-in-law did shows him that maybe he shouldn't be with someone who makes him a casualty in situations. Not only that, but he told her that the more she does the things that she does, the more she doesn't look like the best fit for being his son's stepmother. I told her that possibly she can't blame me for something that she calls in the first place, by demanding I let him celebrate his son's birthday during my actual wedding. She said that everything is my fault, that she was my husband's twin sister, and I was wrong for disinviting her before she hangs up. AITA for disinviting her from my wedding? Update. I wanted to give a one-time update. So my sister-in-law's boyfriend definitely dumped her, and I got blamed for it by her. What made him do it was that she came to my husband and I's new home the day after the wedding, screaming for me to come outside to fight her while on her front lawn. I went outside to try to de-escalate the situation, and she punched me in the face, upsetting my husband and having him have to restrain her. Even though she assaulted me, I was nice enough to call her boyfriend instead of the police to come get her. When he gets there, he's so mad, and he tells her how she's such a bad influence on his kid. Later that day, he calls my husband and lets him know that he broke up with my sister-in-law, and if she can change her ways, he may be open for a reconciliation. I believe that's fair, but unfortunately, I don't see my sister-in-law changing her ways. Weeks went by after that without her acting out until last night. She showed up at our house drunk, trying to fight me again. This time, we call my father-in-law to come get her since her now ex had washed his hands of her. So now my sister-in-law is in rehab. This is an update a month after the last one, and things have finally calmed down, probably because she's not around. She started drinking heavily after getting dumped, and I actually felt bad for her because it's never good to watch someone going through heartbreak. He did say he was open to talking things out with her if she tried to change her ways and improve her behavior, but she then turned to the bottle instead. And then came the harassing phone calls, where she'd call our house phone, blocked, and then hung up whenever one of us picked up. We knew it was her because it started happening after she got broken up with. My husband went to his parents about it, and they told him that they have tried all they could. But the truth is, my sister-in-law is a grown woman and not a child. They said it wasn't as if they could control her, which I understand what they meant. But I just wish that they would have tried speaking to her more to get through to her. What put her in rehab was that she drove into her parents' home. Not on purpose, but after a heavy night of drinking, drove right into their living room. And it scared my mother-in-law to death because she thought my sister-in-law was dead when she was found in the car unresponsive. And that's when my in-laws decided that she needed to go to rehab and possibly seek a therapist afterwards to try to help her. Her ex has been to rehab to visit her, and I heard that she's actually doing better. He told her that if she gets through rehab and actually takes it seriously and goes to therapy, he'll give them another chance. I can tell that he really loves her, but I do understand that it's important to walk away from someone who seems to bring more harm than good to your life. She's even started reaching out to me, starting off with a phone call to apologize to me. She said that everything that's landed her in rehab is all of her faults, and that she's lucky that she survived the car accident. She tells me that from this point forward, she's going to try her best to treat me better, and that she hopes I can forgive her. If I don't do another update, then that means that she's finally gotten her life together. I can see why you'd ask if you're TA for not inviting her to the wedding, but personally, you did the right thing. Who's to say that she wouldn't have done something to ruin your wedding if she had been there? That sucks that your husband's own twin sister was being horrible to you. But look at it this way. The fact that you two were able to make it through your engagement and to your wedding shows that your husband loves you and doesn't entertain his sister's foolishness. My daughter is 17. I'm 47. My wife is 44. My daughter had been having problems with her anxiety and depression. The school had been very hard for her, and she asked us if she could get an animal for emotional support. I asked her why we couldn't just put her in regular therapy again, but she said she didn't really like her last therapist. Basically, she doesn't want to try it again. I was pretty against bringing an animal into the home, as my daughter can barely keep her room clean and remember to wash her dishes, much less take care of an animal. And I absolutely refused to do anything for the dog because I work long hours and didn't want to be picking up messes when I got home. My wife said I was being unfair and that this could be what my daughter needed to get back in good spirits. So we got her a dog. We let her pick it out from a few select breeds, since certain breeds tend to need higher requirements for care, such as frequent grooming and other traits. And I was against getting some breeds just because of personal preference. The dog was great at first, and it got along with my daughter and wife greatly. Me, not so much, but it could probably sense I didn't really like it either. But then it started getting out of its leash on walks, tearing up the couch and various other toys we bought it. My daughter started forgetting to let it out, so I'd come home to find poop and pee all over the brand new carpet. I warned her twice that if she didn't start taking responsibility, that the dog would be going back, and she gave me excuses, saying she was feeling depressed again. She said she would do better, but didn't. Ultimately, I got fed up, so one day when she went to school, I loaded the dog in my truck and told the shelter he wasn't a good fit for us. Obviously, when she came home, she was upset. She was saying the dog was her best friend, but I told her that she wasn't taking very good care of him, and he didn't deserve that. My wife says it was very harsh to just take the dog back while she was gone, but she agrees the daughter wasn't responsible. My daughter has been saying I brought back her severe depression, and we haven't been talking. ATIA? NTA for returning the dog to the shelter. It was not having a good life with your family, being unable to take regular exercise or go outside, and that is why it was going wild and going to the bathroom inside. It's best it is with a family that has the capacity to look after its needs, and I see your daughter agreed she wasn't caring for it properly. So she needs to understand she can't have an ill, unhappy dog around because it helps her mood at times. It is a living creature and has needs the same way she does. Maybe if she really wants contact with animals, you all should work out something like shelter volunteering or visiting petting zoos, where she can see them when she's up to it, or get a more independent pet that you and your wife are willing to help with. Slight YTA for not discussing this with your daughter in terms of timelines. Whatever she is going through, she should not have found out by coming home to no dog. There should have been a chance to say goodbye. I considered ESH, but ultimately, NTA, as this was best for the doggo. ESH, an animal is a living being. If you knew the animal was not going to get proper care and still chose to adopt it, you're an ah. You knew your daughter would not take care of it, and you chose to neglect the dog in retaliation instead of taking responsibility for your decisions. The same thing you were ripping on your daughter for. Why the hell would you get a dog in the first place if you knew nobody would take care of it? That's borderline abuse. The only thing I can give you credit for is returning the dog, so hopefully someone with basic empathy can get it a good home. I, 17, non-binary, have Spanish in the morning from 7:15 to 8:45 EST every morning since the beginning of the school year. My teacher insists that the policy of her classroom is for her to open the door, and no student shall open the door unless they're leaving the classroom. I sit right next to the door. Students often arrive to school late, and because they're late, they must wait for her to open the door. No issue, right? However, she leaves students outside for 10 to 15 minutes at a time, and no matter how many times a student knocks, she will not open the door. People end up missing the lecture and miss the instruction for the assignment. She then gets angry at the students for not understanding the lesson or assignment. Today, we were going over a study guide for an upcoming test, and there was a knock on the door. I told her that someone was at the door. She said they must wait. I start a timer on my laptop and wait. About 6 minutes later, the student knocks again. She said they must wait. When the timer hit 15 minutes, she said the same thing. When the timer hit 20 minutes, I opened the door. Immediately, she starts to yell at me, telling me not to open the door because it's policy and there was a faculty meeting about it. Other teachers allow their students to open the door. I think this was a lie, she told me. I disrespected her and her rules, even though she constantly disrespects me and my peers. I finally snapped at her. I told her she was a sad, miserable woman who must have constant control over us teens because she has no control over herself and her life. She asked me for my mom's phone number, and I think she's going to try and call her because I opened the door and snapped at her. So, AITA? Thank you for the feedback, everyone. I will be evaluating myself and my values to improve for situations like this in the future. OP, I never want to not take accountability. I understand that actions have consequences, and that follows. So if I was in the wrong, I would correct it immediately. I only saw a few comments that accused me of lying, and to be really 100% honest, why the hell would I lie about this? Clout? I've always been the kind of person to seek justice for the people who cannot speak up, and this isn't the first time this whole situation has happened. The last thing I want to do is leave the problem unsolved by acknowledging I was out of line. I was able to reevaluate myself and really think if it was a bad move on my part. That's why I posted it, because I was unsure of myself, and if I was, I can grow and move on. I never intentionally hurt someone and typically avoid confrontation. Everyone's opinions are valid here. No one is ever right or wrong on judgment. ESH, school policy is that all students are to be in a classroom when the bell rings, no one in the halls. If you are late, the teacher either marks you as late or a sweeper does, and that allows you to go into the classroom. As a former teacher, I have never heard of any teacher keeping a child alone for 20+ minutes. If something is to happen to that student, it falls on the school and on the teacher who is not supervising the child. Not only that, they are losing valuable learning time. This teacher does not know who is knocking or what their excuse for being late is. For those claiming that children are responsible for being to school on time, no, their parents are responsible. Not all kids live within walking distance. Not all kids are rich enough to have cars, and some aren't even old enough to drive. Not all kids live in an area in which traveling alone is safe, especially if they are told to walk in the dark. My child starts at 7 a.m., and I spend half the year driving her in the dark. Your privilege is showing. Some may have disabilities or broken homes. Twice we were late because of an accident that we witnessed. Sadly, my youngest watched someone die in one. Buses are late, and our streets flood. There are so many reasons why this teacher's policy is crappy, and so are the attitudes of those who believe a 14-year-old should purchase and drive their own car or walk in the dark alone to school. OP sucks because this issue should have been brought up to their parents, to the principal, to the district if need be, ages ago. You just went about this the wrong way, and the teacher's response was also unprofessional. ES8, NTA. Why is the teacher making students wait in the hallway? What purpose does that serve? If I were a student, I would just walk in.